Alrighty, so we have One Piece chapter 1049. It is titled The World You Wish For. Let's talk about it. It was a really good chapter. I read it about 3 times already. The cover page, it is Yonji and Niji. They have escaped because the factory is on fire. They got to get out of there. But fluff that, we don't care. We're going to talk about the chapter. So we pick up with Luffy and Kaido. They are currently clashing with Luffy's fist and Kaido's blast breath on top of Onigashima. Before Luffy, in the previous chapters, he asked Momo to move it out the way because he's going to send Kaido flying downward. And so this clash is putting a toll on Luffy because of how intensely hot it is, and there's a lot going on. Can Luffy's haki be strong enough to defeat Kaido in this moment? So they're going back and forth, and Kaido, he talks about Luffy, what type well, said after coming this far, you won't be able to ever change the world. I think somebody, I forget who it was, I think it was the conversation between King and Kaido a couple chapters ago, where they talked about turning the world upside down. So Kaido and his view on the world is very different because, well, we got a little Kaido flashback in this one where we got to see young Kaido grow up, his interaction with different pirates. And at first, Kaido wasn't a pirate. He was a soldier at 10 years old, and he was able to, or he was really strong enough in order to defeat anybody in front of him. They said he was the strongest one around. And then later, I believe it was called 46 years ago, I think Kaido's 49, so when he was 13, the kingdom of Vodka, basically they had no choice but to wage war in order to gain the loot and to pay tribute to the celestial dragons. The celestial dragons have been around for a long time because they're really important. We know how much you gotta respect them, and so you don't want to lose any respect for them, or else the celestial dragon will probably do whatever the fuck they want to you. And so Kaido, he doesn't understand why the celestial dragons, with how weak they are, how they have so much influence on the world and on him. And so he wants to know what's going on with that, where later the government, they seize Kaido to be taken away as a government dog. They're paying him as enlistment, and if they do that, because of how strong Kaido is, it appears he could take over a country by himself. So in order to do that their country, or wherever Kaido's from, Vodka, that they're guaranteed a seat at the next revelry. And so Kaido, he's upset because he gets taken and he is used as, well, I guess you could say a political bargaining chip. This is very interesting because being kidnapped, being kidnapped and being used as a government dog and all of that, it shows why Kaido doesn't like the Marines in his view of the world, and how with the Marines, the Celestial Dragon, etc., why Kaido is what he is. Because Kaido, he escaped from the ship and he is wanted. His first bounty is 70 million. And the Marines, they make mention that Kaido, he's been captured and they caught him. But I think there's, in his intro, Kaido talked about how he was put to death a couple of times. He was defeated 7. He was captured a couple of times. In this flashback, it says that Kaido, he only gets caught on purpose because he's hungry and he wants to eat. So some of this stuff, maybe like some of his defeats and put to death, imprisonment, captures, all of that, that might not necessarily be what we think it is, him losing a one-on-one battle or being overwhelmed. It might just be him willingly being kidnapped, like they said in this chapter. So then we cut to Fulalead. I believe that is the island that Blackbeard is currently on, what we've seen with the skull. And it says that Kaido's only 15 here, and they're trying to figure out how he's so strong. We cut to Whitebeard saying that, yo, you want to be a pirate? Rocks wants to speak to you. And we're like, oh, shoot. Like, because Kaido, he now officially joins the Rocks Pirates, and we know that includes Rocks, it includes Big Mom, Kaido, Whitebeard. Granted, they're young and maybe not necessarily in their prime just yet, especially Kaido. He didn't have his Devil Fruit, and he's not the monster he is now, but definitely they're very important. And then there's Big Mom. We see her talking about how they're going to God Valley, etc. Now, I want to mention something that happened with Garp in this chapter. It says after the Rocks Pirates was fallen, people are confused. They're like, with all those monsters on their crew, how the fuck did they get taken down? And they said that it was Garp. Garp was the one to take him down. We know God Valley was Garp and Roger who ended up teaming up to take down the Rocks Pirates. But something that they mentioned, it was because of how strong they is. Let's say, for instance, Whitebeard probably takes on Roger, and then probably Garp takes on Rocks, or whatever the matchup is. There had to be some infighting, because there's no way in heck that all these strong characters, even though they're not in their prime, They're probably not much weaker, but they're pretty weak compared to now. There's no way in heck that they would have lost this fight unless something was implemented. And then Big Mom, she's like, oh, well, where the heck is Kaido at? They're so confused. And then we cut to the big old hag who helped Kaido in his fight with Odin by changing herself into Momonosuke. She's talking to Kaido about what he's experienced, and he showcases, or he's the embodiment of brutality. And they talk about it's been 10 years has passed since that incident. I don't know if they're talking about him being experimented on and then saving King, because King's in this panel. We don't see Queen and we don't see Jack, or I don't know if she's talking about God Valley, but she talks about how humans are all the same, and that they have to resort to brutality and all that, and that it's the survival of the fittest. And Kaido, he agrees, where he's going to implement what he believes the world should be. Kaido, he talks about showing the peace-loving nobles the hellish reality of war, and that's what he's telling his men to do, so they're going to take over. And in the end of the flashback, Kaido talks about, Yamato, she doesn't know, well, he doesn't know where she learned the name from, but she knows, or I mentioned Joyboy, and apparently Odin wanted to open up Joyboy. So then apparently King and Kaido kind of had the same dream. They both wanted to meet, or were looking for a Joyboy. And Kaido's like, hey, I know who he is. And King's like, who? Then we cut away from the flashback. I'm like, God dang it. We also see CP0, the long arm man. He's escaping with his skywalk. He's going away from Onigashima. Probably going to report something. I don't know. Or I don't know what he's doing, but he's getting the hell up out of there. Momo and Yamato are rooting for Luffy to go ahead and finish off Kaido. And then we cut around Onigashima, because we cut to where most of the main characters are, because Raizo, him and Jinbei are flooding Onigashima to get the flames away. We cut to Sanji holding an Orion. Frankie, he has Zoroark in his arms. Brook and Rambe are drowning. A lot of devil fruit users, I didn't even think about that they're going to drown, or they're going to be stuck underwater, like Kid, Law, Kiamon's drowning. There's a lot of issues that's going on because they can't swim because they're devil fruit users. And we cut to Hiyori and Denjiro, Hiyori crying and Denjiro comforting her, talking about, hey, you endured this long enough and it's finally over, so we're happy, and you should be happy that all this suffering is done. It's okay to cry. Something that I find funny is like Momo, his eyes, because the flame clouds are gone, right? So they're like, it's not good, because he has to make it fly, because Kaido, he's at his wit's end. And so he asks Luffy when he's fighting, he said, what kind of world do you want to make? And this is interesting because Luffy, we know about his goal being like with the Pirate King, but we never know like how he views the world. And so Momo, he uses flame clouds in order to make them appear, and it stops the island. So Luffy, he's powering through. It reminds me of Doflamingo, Luffy's clash. One of the best antagonists in One Piece, you could argue probably the best. And he's clashing with Kaido. He said he's going to make a world where his friends don't have to starve and can eat as much as they like, because that's his goal. Because we know Kaido and Orochi, they took all the food away from the people, the water's tainted, etc. And so he punches Kaido. He kind of punches his lights out. And so he sends Kaido flying. He said that's the type of world he wants to make. And so he hits Kaido with the Conquerors and Rio, Haki, and Kaido gets sent flying down Onigashima onto the capital, and he's on the Wano mainland. And Kaido appears to be knocked out, right? But he tells King, he said the person that Joyboy is, he's the one who will defeat me. And then King says that's true, that Joyboy will never exist. And we see that Kaido, he's on the ground, Onigashima. We don't know if he's knocked out, but he's on the ground. Momo's exhausted from using the flame crowds, and Luffy, he's exhausted as well. It appears that he has defeated Kaido and that this is the end of the fighting in Wano. It was a pretty good chapter. I believe there's something that Oda was like, watch Luffy. I think it was in the Festa, what's it called, Jump Festa, when he was like, pay attention to Luffy because he's about to change or something's going on with him, and that when he defeats Kaido, people won't be satisfied with it being a big punch, which is kind of ironic because he did beat him with a big punch, but that's after he gained a new gear. I don't know, but Kaido, he's down this right now. I think for him to have gone through all he did, the Scabbards, the Supernovas, Yamato, back to Luffy, defeating Luffy like 4 times in this arc, I feel like Kaido as an antagonist ate and tanked a lot of attacks. So for him to be down, I'm not surprised. I'm pretty satisfied with how it ended, and I can't wait to see what the rest of Wano has in store. Definitely about the Poneglyphs, about Zoro's heritage, about Yamato potentially joining the crew, opening up Wano. It's probably not going to be done. I'd say Wano probably has another 10 chapters left. But let me know how you guys feel about this chapter. Do you guys like it? Do you guys hate it? How do you guys feel about Kaido losing? And do you guys feel like Luffy got plot armor, or did he deserve this win? Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and TikTok is on the screen and in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.